I don't know if I'm a monster or just a woman who finally broke. People say motherhood is unconditional, that once you love a child, you can't unlove them. But what happens when those same children keep tearing pieces out of your heart, one by one, until there's nothing left to give? I keep replaying that night in my head. The way they looked at me, the silence after my words hung in the air, the pain in their eyes, the disbelief. And yet, I didn't take it back. I meant every word. Sometimes I wonder, did I really stop being their mom that night? Or did they stop letting me be long before that? I'm Olivia, 30-6, and this is the story of how I told my stepdaughters that I no longer saw them as my children. When I met their father, Ryan, 8 years ago, I was in that place between healing and hoping. Divorced, heart a little cracked, but still believing in second chances. Ryan was different. Quiet strength, kind eyes. A man who carried the weight of being both mother and father to 2 little girls. Emily, who was 8 then, and Lily, just 5. The first time I met them, they clung to him like shadows. Shy, polite, but there was something behind their smiles. Something cautious. Their mom, Anna, wasn't around much. She drifted in and out of their lives like a storm, unpredictable and destructive, but always leaving a mark. Ryan told me early on, they've been through a lot. Be patient. And I was. I didn't come in trying to replace anyone. I just wanted to love them, to build a home where they could feel safe again. The first time Emily called me mom, it was the softest word I'd ever heard. We were baking cookies. Her hair was covered in flour, her laugh filling the kitchen. She said it so casually, "Mom, can you pass me the sugar?" And then froze, like she'd just said something forbidden. Ryan and I locked eyes. I didn't correct her. I just smiled. It became normal after that. Lily followed her sister's lead, and suddenly, Mom was just part of our daily life. It felt right. It felt like healing. But every year or so, like clockwork, Anna would return. She'd sweep in with her perfume and promises, take them out for ice cream, talk about all the things she'd make up for. And then, the change would begin. The first time it happened, they were small, confused, trying to please everyone. They stopped calling me mom. They started correcting people who did. And when she left again, they'd come back to me, crying, saying they missed me, saying they were sorry. I forgave them every single time, because they were just kids, because I thought love could fix it. We even tried therapy. Their therapist helped them apologize, taught them how to express the confusion without hurting others. It worked for a while. The next 2 years were peaceful. Laughter, school plays, family vacations. The kind of ordinary happiness that feels extraordinary when you fought hard for it. Then August came, and with it, Anna. This time was different. Maybe it's because the girls were older, teenagers now. 16 and 13, with sharper words and deeper wounds. Maybe it's because Anna stayed longer. Or maybe because this time, she came with a purpose. At first, it was subtle. They stopped calling me mom again. Then came the rolling eyes, the sarcastic comments, the distance at the dinner table. Ryan brushed it off. It'll pass. It always does. But it didn't pass. It got worse. Emily started telling her little brother, my 5-year-old son, that he wasn't their real brother. Lily repeated it. One night, Emily told me straight to my face, "You're not our mom. You never were, and you never will be." Her voice was calm, cold, like she was reciting something she'd rehearsed. Something in me cracked that night. Not because of the words themselves. I'd heard them before, but because of how much I'd done to prove the opposite. The birthday parties, the sleepless nights during fevers, the tears I'd wiped, the dreams I'd protected, the love I'd poured into every single corner of their lives. And still, I wasn't their mom. Anna left a week ago. And just like that, the girls came back, sweet again, soft-spoken, calling me mom like nothing had happened. But something inside me didn't move, didn't respond. It's like the word mom didn't belong to me anymore, so I said it. Don't call me that. They froze. Emily blinked, confused. What do you mean? I looked them both in the eyes and said the words I never imagined I'd say. I don't want you to call me mom anymore. You've made it clear that I'm not. And I've decided I don't see you as my kids anymore. For a moment, the world stopped. Their faces fell. Their lips trembled. But I didn't waver. Ryan walked in as they ran to him crying. He looked at me, waiting for me to explain. And I just said quietly, it's between us. Now, a week later, I'm sitting here asking myself if I went too far. The therapist thinks I did. Says it was harsh, that I should have handled it differently. But these aren't little girls anymore. They're old enough to understand how words can cut. Old enough to know that love isn't a toy you pick up and drop when someone else walks in the room. And yet, my chest aches every time I think about it. Did I really mean it when I said I didn't see them as my kids anymore? Or was it just the pain talking? The exhaustion of loving children who only love you conditionally. The house has never been this quiet. It's the kind of silence that doesn't soothe. It suffocates. The kind that makes every breath feel heavy, every sound too loud. It's been a week since that night. A week since I said the words that changed everything. And I still wake up expecting to hear their laughter from the kitchen, arguing about who gets the last pancake, or Lily's music playing too loud through her headphones. But now, nothing. They move around the house like ghosts. Emily won't look at me. Lily flinches when I speak. And Ryan, he's caught somewhere between them and me, walking on eggshells, trying to hold together a family that already cracked down the middle. I can feel it, the judgment in the air, unspoken but heavy. He hasn't said it out loud, but I know he's thinking it. Why did you have to say that, Liv? The truth is, I've been asking myself the same thing. But then I remember the way Emily's words hit me. You're not our mom. You never were. It wasn't just teenage anger. It was cruel, deliberate. And maybe that's what hurts most. Not because she said it, but because she believed it. Ryan tries to talk about it every night. Last night, he sat beside me on the bed, rubbing his temples. Olivia, they're kids. They don't mean half the things they say. They're 16 and 13. Ryan, they know exactly what they're saying. He sighed, like he was tired of fighting the same invisible war. I just don't want to lose the peace we worked so hard for. I laughed. Bitter, hollow. Peace. You think this is peace? He didn't answer. He just looked away. That's the thing about silence. It says everything words can't. The next morning, Lily left for school without saying goodbye. Emily didn't come down at all. I found her breakfast plate still sitting on the counter, untouched. The toast now cold and hard. Beside it, a note in her handwriting. Don't bother. I'm not hungry. I stared at it for a long time. Not because of the words, but because it was written on a piece of paper I recognized. The same one she used for the letter. She once wrote me for Mother's Day 3 years ago. You're the best mom ever. I'm so glad you're mine. It's strange how love can rot into resentment without you even realizing when it started. Their therapist suggested I apologize. Not for how I feel, but for how I said it. But how do you apologize for something you meant? How do you tell someone you didn't mean to say the truth out loud? I tried to write them a letter. I sat at the table late at night, pen trembling, trying to find words that didn't sound like excuses. I wrote, "I love you both, even if I'm hurt." Then I crossed it out. I wrote, "I'll always care for you." Crossed that out too. Finally, I just wrote one sentence. "I'm sorry for saying it like that." But I never gave it to them. I couldn't, because the truth is, I wasn't sorry for saying it. I was sorry for feeling it. That weekend, their mom called. I didn't hear the conversation, but I could tell by the way Emily's face lit up that she told her everything. The way Lily whispered, she said she doesn't see us as her kids anymore, broke something deep inside me, because I could hear the betrayal in her voice. Not just hurt. Betrayal. Ryan came to me after they hung up. "She knows," he said quietly. I didn't even look up from the dishes. "Of course she does. She's furious. She always is." "Liv, please. Don't start." I turned then, hands shaking, water dripping from the plate I was holding. "Don't start what, Ryan? Don't tell the truth? Don't stand my ground? They're your family. They were," I said before I could stop myself. The silence that followed was worse than shouting. That night, I overheard Emily talking to Lily in their room. Her voice was low, but I caught every word. "She doesn't love us, Lil. She never did. She was just pretending because Dad wanted her to." I wanted to scream. "How could you say that, after everything I've done for you?" But instead, I just stood there, back against the wall, biting my lip so hard I tasted blood. And for the first time in years, I cried quietly, not the kind of crying that asks for comfort, but the kind that admits defeat. I didn't go into their room. I didn't correct them. I just went back to mine, crawled into bed, and stared at the ceiling, wondering how love could feel this cold. The next day, Lily slipped a note under my door. It said, "I'm sorry if we hurt you. I just don't know how to make it better." The handwriting was shaky, still childlike, still full of innocence. And just like that, the wall I'd built started to crack again. Because the truth is, I don't hate them. I never could. I just don't know how to love them anymore without bleeding for it. I used to believe that love was about giving, no matter what, no matter how much it hurt. But maybe love also needs boundaries. Maybe there comes a point when loving too hard becomes self-destruction. Still, every night, when the lights go out, I find myself checking on them, quietly, secretly, making sure they're asleep, making sure they're okay, because no matter what I said, no matter what they think, I still care. And maybe that's the cruelest part of all, that even when they stop calling you mom, your heart never really stops being one. The day everything finally broke, it wasn't loud, no screaming, no slamming doors, just the quiet realization that sometimes love dies quietly, like a candle that runs out of wax. It was a Sunday morning. The sky was gray, rain tracing slow patterns down the window. I was making pancakes, something I hadn't done in weeks, trying to pretend things were normal. Ryan came down first, rubbing his eyes, giving me a faint smile. "Smells good," he said. "Yeah," I whispered, flipping a pancake that came out a little burnt. Then the girls came down. Emily stopped at the bottom of the stairs, staring at me like I was a stranger in her house. Lily followed, clutching her phone, her face unreadable. I forced a smile. "Breakfast's ready." Neither of them moved. Ryan looked between us, sensing the tension like static in the air. "Come on, girls. Sit. Emily's voice cut through the room. Why are you pretending? I froze. What do you mean? Why are you acting like everything's fine? You said you don't see us as your kids anymore. So why are you cooking breakfast like you do? Her words were sharp, deliberate, but underneath them, I could hear it. The pain, the anger, the confusion. I took a breath. Because, even if I said that, I still care about you. She scoffed. Yeah, right. You just care when Mom's not around. Lily's eyes darted between us, anxious. No, Emily snapped, cutting her off. She wants to act like the victim. Fine. But she's the one who gave up on us. Something inside me snapped. Gave up? I said, my voice shaking. Do you have any idea how much I've fought for you? How many nights I stayed up worrying about you? How many times I defended your mom when she left you crying, so you wouldn't hate her? Ryan stood up. Olivia. No, she needs to hear this. I said, my hands trembling. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. Then why did you say it? Why did you say we're not your kids? Because you made me believe I never was your mom. I shouted, my voice breaking halfway through. The words echoed in the kitchen, bouncing off walls that had heard too many arguments and too few apologies. Silence followed, thick, suffocating. Then Lily whispered, her voice trembling, we didn't mean it. I turned to her. Then why say it? Why tell your brother he isn't real? Why look me in the eyes and say I'll never be your mom? Her tears came fast, spilling down her cheeks. Because she told us you'd leave if we loved her less. The room froze. Ryan's eyes widened. What? Lily's sobs turned into hiccups. Mom said, if we called you Mom, you'd replace her. That you'd make Dad forget her. That you'd make us forget her too. Emily stood still, silent, eyes burning but wet. She said we had to choose, Lily continued, and we didn't want to lose her again. I felt my knees weaken, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. So that's what this was. All these years, all the back and forth. The love, the rejection, the whiplash of affection. It wasn't because they hated me. It was because they were terrified of losing someone else. I took a shaky breath. Sweetheart, you were never supposed to choose. Emily finally spoke, her voice trembling. Then why did you say that, Olivia? Why did you say you don't see us as your kids? And for the first time, I didn't have an answer. Because I wasn't angry anymore. I was ashamed. I wanted to tell her the truth. That I said it out of pain, out of exhaustion, out of feeling like a placeholder for someone who never stayed. But the words stuck in my throat. Ryan stepped forward, voice heavy. Emily, Lily, your mom loves you in her way. But Olivia's been the one here. Every day, every storm. You don't have to prove your love by hurting her. Emily turned away, tears streaming down her face. You don't get it, Dad. When Mom comes back, she makes us feel special, like she never left. And then she's gone again, and we feel stupid for believing her. You don't know what that's like. I did know, because I'd been living that cycle too. Just from the other side. Ryan's voice softened. I know she's your mother, and I'll never stop you from loving her. But you can love her without hurting Olivia. Lily reached for Emily's hand, whispering, I'm sorry. Emily didn't pull away this time. I looked at them, really looked at them. And for the first time, I saw not defiance, but fear. The kind of fear that doesn't fade with age. The fear of being abandoned. And in that moment, I realized something cruelly simple. They weren't the only ones afraid of losing love. I was too. I didn't mean it. I whispered, my voice cracking. When I said I don't see you as my kids, I didn't mean it. I just didn't know how else to protect myself. Emily wiped her tears, whispering, "Then stop trying to protect yourself from us." Her words hit me harder than any argument ever could. Because she was right. I'd built walls to keep their rejection out, but those same walls kept my love in. I reached out my hand, hesitating. Lily took it first. Then, slowly, Emily did too, and in that small, fragile moment, amid all the anger, confusion, and tears, we found something that looked a little like forgiveness. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Because forgiveness isn't the end of a storm. It's just the first quiet moment after it passes. Before you realize how much damage it's left behind. After that morning, the air in the house felt lighter, but not peaceful. It was like standing in the wreckage after a storm. The wind had stopped, but everything was still broken. We were all pretending, in our own ways. Ryan pretended everything was fine by throwing himself into work. Lily tried to act cheerful, asking me about dinner or school projects like nothing had happened. And Emily, well, Emily was quiet. Too quiet. She stopped being angry, but she also stopped being. She'd come home, go straight to her room, and close the door. Sometimes I'd hear her crying softly at night, but I didn't know if I had the right to knock anymore. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her that no matter what, I still loved her. But the memory of my own words, "I don't see you as my kids anymore," echoed every time I reached for the doorknob one night. Ryan found me sitting on the floor outside her room, just staring at the door. He crouched down beside me. "Go in," he whispered. "I can't," I said, double quotes, "yes. You can. You're her mom." I shook my head. "Not in her eyes." He sighed, brushing his thumb across my knuckles. "Then make her see it again." It sounded simple. It was in single quotes T. The next morning, I decided to try. I made breakfast, her favorite, chocolate chip waffles. I knocked gently on her door, double quotes M. "Breakfast's ready." A pause. Then a muffled, "I'm not hungry." "Sweetheart, please, stop calling me that." Her voice broke, raw with emotion. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood there, hand on the door frame, staring at the wood grain like it could give me answers. Then I said quietly, "Okay, but I'll be here when you are." I walked away, but my heart stayed pressed against the door. That night, Ryan came to bed late. She called her mom. He said softly. I nodded, not surprised. She told her everything. I swallowed hard. Let her. Maybe she needs to. Live. Anna's coming back. The words hit me like ice water. What? When she said she's flying in this weekend. For what? He hesitated. She said she needs to talk to the girls. And you? I laughed bitterly. Talk to me? About what? How I ruined her daughters. How I dared to love them when she couldn't. Ryan didn't answer. He didn't have to. I already knew. The weekend came too fast when Anne arrived. She looked exactly as I remembered. Perfectly put together. Not a hair out of place. Wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She hugged the girls like she'd never missed a day. Kissed their foreheads, then turned to me with that same fake warmth. Olivia, she said, you look tired. Motherhood'll do that. I replied evenly. Her smile faltered. Yes, I suppose it would. We sat in the living room. Ryan tried to mediate, but it was pointless. The air was charged, electric. Anna crossed her legs and said, I heard there's been tension. The girls were very upset. I'm sure they were, I said. They've been through a lot. Her tone sharpened. Yes, and I'd appreciate if you didn't add to that. Ryan started to speak, but I cut him off. You disappear for years, Anna. You show up, tear everything apart, and then you leave again. Do you have any idea what that does to them? Her eyes flashed. I'm their mother. You're just the one who stayed. I interrupted. The room went silent. Emily and Lily stood in the doorway, watching us. I could see the confusion in their eyes, torn between two women who both claimed to love them, but showed it in completely different ways. Anna turned to them, softening her voice. Girls, I know this is hard, but you should never feel guilty for loving your real mother. Emily spoke quietly, but her voice was steady. We don't feel guilty. We just don't want to keep choosing sides. Anna blinked, clearly taken aback. What are you talking about? Lily stepped closer. We know what you said. Anna froze. What do you mean? That if we loved Olivia, you'd stop coming around, Lily whispered. That we had to choose. The color drained from her face. I never. Stop lying, Mom, Emily shouted, tears streaming down her face. You did say that. You made us believe she'd leave if we loved you more. You made us feel like we couldn't have both. Ryan stood up, his jaw tight. Anna, I think you should go. But I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I just watched as the truth shattered everything. Anna's mask cracked for the first time. I was scared, okay? I didn't want to lose you. I thought, if you loved her more, you'd forget me. Her voice trembled. For a moment, I saw something real in her. Fear, guilt. Emily's face crumpled. We never wanted to forget you. We just wanted you to stay. That broke all of us. The girls were crying. Anna was shaking. And Ryan just stood there, helpless. I stepped forward, my voice soft but steady. You don't have to choose. Not between us. You can love her and still love me. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Anna looked at me, really looked, and for the first time in 8 years, there was no hatred in her eyes, just exhaustion. She nodded slowly. Maybe you're a better mother than I gave you credit for. Then she left, no grand exit, no slamming door, just a quiet retreat, like she knew her power here had finally ended. That night, Emily came into my room. She didn't say anything at first, just climbed into bed beside me, head resting on my shoulder like she used to when she was small. I'm sorry, she whispered. I kissed her forehead. Me too. And for a while, it felt like healing, like we'd finally reached the calm after the chaos. But sometimes, peace has a way of hiding what's still broken underneath. Because a week later, when I went to wake Emily for school, her bed was empty, her backpack was gone, her phone left behind. On her desk, a note in the same shaky handwriting from before. I just need some time to think. Don't look for me. When I read that note, my hands started shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I just need some time to think. Don't look for me. Every word felt like a blade. For a few seconds, I couldn't even move. My brain refused to process it, like if I stayed still long enough, the words would change. That she'd be in the bathroom, brushing her hair, like every normal morning. But her room was empty. Her shoes were gone. The window was cracked open, letting in the cold October air. I screamed her name so loud it ripped through the house. Ryan came running upstairs. One look at me, and he knew. Where is she? She's gone, I whispered. Emily's gone. He grabbed his phone, calling everyone, her friends, the school, anyone who might have seen her. I searched every corner of the house, my mind spinning, replaying the last few days. Every word, every argument, trying to find the moment where she decided to leave. Lily stood in the doorway, eyes wide with fear. Is she mad at us? I knelt, holding her trembling hands. No, baby, she's just confused. But we'll find her, okay? We'll find her. It took everything in me not to fall apart in front of her. We called the police after 2 hours. They told us to stay calm, that teens sometimes run off when they're upset, that she'd probably come home once she cooled down. But they didn't know Emily. She wasn't the kind of kid who just vanished. By nightfall, the house was full of flashing lights, officers asking questions, taking notes, asking for pictures. I kept showing them the same photo. Emily smiling at her brother's birthday, icing on her nose, eyes full of light. Now she was somewhere out there in the dark, and I had no idea if she was safe. As they left, one officer said softly, "We'll keep you updated." When the door closed, Ryan sank onto the couch, face in his hands. How did we let it get this bad? I didn't answer, because I already knew. I pushed her away. I told her I didn't see her as my kid anymore. The guilt was a living thing, clawing at my insides. Every moment replayed, every time I'd chosen silence over softness. Every time I'd said, "I'm too tired to talk right now." At midnight, I drove around town, calling her name into the empty streets, stopping at every park, every bench, every bus stop. I found nothing. Just cold air and echoes of my own voice. At one point, I pulled over by the lake, the same lake where we used to feed ducks when she was small. I sat there, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. That's when I saw the glow of a phone screen through the mist. I got out of the car, heart pounding, and there she was sitting on the dock, knees pulled to her chest, eyes red and swollen. For a moment, I couldn't move. I was afraid that if I said her name, she'd disappear like smoke. But she turned, saw me, and whispered, "You found me." I nodded, tears spilling freely. "You left a note. I didn't want to scare you," she said quietly. "You did." She looked down, guilt flooding her face. "I just needed space. Everything feels so heavy, Mom." The word mom hit me like a wave, soft, real, unforced. I walked to her slowly and sat beside her. "You don't have to run away to think, sweetheart. You can talk to me." She nodded but didn't look at me. I didn't want to hurt anyone anymore. "I keep ruining everything. You, Dad, Lily, Mom, everyone." I swallowed hard. "You haven't ruined anything. You're just caught in the middle of a war you didn't start." The wind blew across the water, carrying the faint smell of rain. The lake shimmered with moonlight, calm and cold. She whispered, "I heard what you said to Dad that night, about not seeing us as your kids. I know you didn't mean it, but hearing it still broke something." My voice cracked. "I know, and I hate myself for it every day." We sat there in silence, both of us crying quietly, until she finally leaned her head on my shoulder. "I don't know who I'm supposed to be," she said. "You're supposed to be you, and that's enough." For the first time in months, I felt her really let go, like all the walls she'd built finally crumbled. We stayed there until the first hint of sunrise painted the water pink. When we drove home, she fell asleep in the passenger seat, and I kept glancing at her, afraid she'd vanish again if I blinked. When we got home, Ryan was waiting at the door. He pulled her into his arms, crying openly, and for the first time in so long, we looked like a family again, not perfect, not healed, but holding on. Later, as Emily slept in her room, Lily climbed into my lap. "She's home," she whispered. "She's home." I echoed, kissing her hair. And yet, in that moment of relief, a question echoed quietly in my mind. If love could bring her back, could it keep her here? Because part of me knew that this was just one battle won, the war against fear, resentment, and the ghosts of the past was still far from over. For a few weeks after Emily came home, our house lived in a strange kind of quiet. Not the heavy silence of guilt anymore, but the fragile peace that comes after a storm, when everything is still wet and broken, but you're just grateful to still be standing. She didn't go back to school right away. Her therapist suggested home sessions for a while. Ryan and I agreed. I wanted her to feel safe, not rushed back into pretending everything was fine. Some mornings, I'd wake up early and just watch her sitting at the kitchen counter, eating cereal with Lily, laughing at some silly video. And each time, I'd have to fight back tears, because that sound, that laughter, was something I'd thought I might never hear again. One afternoon, I found Emily in her room surrounded by photo albums. She looked up at me and said quietly, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. When you said you didn't see me as your kid anymore, did you mean it?" My heart twisted. I sat down beside her and took a deep breath. "No," I said. "I didn't mean it the way it sounded. But I did mean this, that I can't keep being the only one trying. That love has to go both ways." I said it because I was hurt, and that's not fair to you. She stared at me for a long time, her eyes glossy with tears. "I was so angry at you, but also angry at myself, because I knew you were right." I frowned. "Right about what?" "That mom keeps coming back and messing with my head, and I let her. Every time. I know she doesn't stay, but I keep pretending she will." Hearing her say it out loud broke something inside me. Not because she was wrong, but because that realization is too heavy for a 16-year-old to carry. I pulled her close. "She's your mother. You'll always love her, and that's okay. You don't have to choose between us. I just want you to stop hurting yourself trying to make everyone happy." She nodded against my shoulder, whispering, "I'm sorry. Don't be. Just, let's start over. No names, no labels, just family." For the first time, she smiled, really smiled, and said, "Okay, family." That night, Ryan came home early with takeout from Emily's favorite diner. We all sat on the living room floor, eating fries and watching some terrible comedy movie that made everyone laugh for the wrong reasons. Halfway through, Emily leaned against me and whispered, "You know, I don't think it matters what I call you. You feel like home." My throat closed up. I didn't say anything, because sometimes words ruin perfect moments. I just held her hand tighter and kept watching the movie. But that night, after everyone was asleep, I went outside, sat on the porch, and looked up at the stars. I thought about everything. The fights, the therapy, the nights I cried in secret, wondering if I'd failed as a mother. And for the first time, I realized something. Motherhood isn't a title you earn. It's the quiet choices you make when no one's watching, staying up with them through fevers, showing up to every recital, forgiving words that cut too deep. It's the love that stays even when it's not returned. The next morning, Emily and Lily surprised me with breakfast, burnt pancakes and all. "Happy Mom's Day," Lily said, proudly setting the plate down. Emily smirked. "We know it's not the Mother's Day, but we figured you deserved one anyway." I laughed through tears. "You two are going to make me cry before I even eat." "Mission accomplished," Emily said, grinning as I took my first bite of the world's worst pancake. I realized something deeper. I had spent years trying to earn a place that was already mine, not because of a name or DNA, but because love had already rooted itself in our home, messy, complicated, but real. Later that week, their therapist asked me, "Do you still think you were too harsh back then?" I smiled faintly. No, I think it was necessary. Sometimes love has to break before it can rebuild stronger. The girls still see their mother when she visits, but now it's different. They come home and tell me stories instead of shutting me out. They've learned to separate the woman they wish she was from the woman she really is. As for me, I've learned to forgive myself too, because the truth is, sometimes being a parent means loving kids who don't always love you back the way you hope. Sometimes it means letting go of control, trusting that the love you poured into them will find its way back someday, even if it takes years. And sometimes it means standing your ground and saying, "I love you too much to let you keep hurting me." I used to think motherhood was about being chosen, but now I know it's about choosing them over and over, even when it hurts. So, am I the asshole for telling my stepkids I no longer saw them as mine? Maybe, in that moment, I was. But maybe it's what saved us in the end. Because sometimes love needs a line drawn, not to divide, but to remind everyone where home really is. If you were in my place, would you have said it too? Tell me in the comments, because sometimes one story can change how we see family forever. And if you want more true, raw, human stories like this, don't forget to subscribe.